Hey there. So, did Donald Trump kill the Turkish economy? The answer is no. No, he absolutely did not. The problems of the Turkish economy are the responsibility of the Turkish government. But Trump may have played a role in finally pushing Turkey's zombie economy over the edge. Let's take a look at what happened. For the past 2 years, Andrew Brunson, a Christian evangelical pastor and U.S. citizen, has been detained in Turkey. He is accused of somehow participating in the failed July 2016 coup against the Turkish government. I suppose it's just possible that he was involved in some way, but it strikes me as really, really unlikely. 2 years later, the Turks have failed to make their case against Brunson, and the United States has lost its patience. To make matters worse, Erdogan made it clear in a speech last September that Brunson is being held as a hostage for the extradition of somebody the Turkish government wants. Fethullah Gulen, a Muslim cleric living in Pennsylvania, is the alleged mastermind of the 2016 coup attempt. Last September, Erdogan explicitly stated that he wanted to do a swap. This was really, really dumb. Erdogan's statement took Turkey, a much-abused U.S. ally, and made it look like a criminal, hostage-taking state. Turkey is absolutely right to be angry at the United States for its relationship with the Kurds in northern Syria. They're also absolutely right to be disappointed by the U.S. government's lack of support for the legitimate Turkish government during the 2016 coup. Turkey has a range of legitimate grievances against the United States. But instead of making this case sanely, Erdogan seems to be auditioning for the role of this decade's Saddam Hussein. If Captain Ottoman Slap hadn't been such a blowhard, Gulen would probably have been extradited to Turkey years ago. People tend to underestimate this Brunson issue. It can't really be about one Christian missionary, could it? Actually, it could. Trump loves strongmen like Erdogan, and at the outset of his administration, he was largely seen as more open to working with Turkey than Obama was. But Trump is now dealing with constant news about his habit of paying for sex with women he's not married to. He really needs to do something for the Christian fundamentalists that support him, and Brunson fits the bill. This year has seen some intense negotiating between the Turkish and U.S. governments, but in early August, they broke down. On August 10th, Donald Trump used his Twitter feed to announce that he was doubling tariffs on Turkish steel and aluminum exports to the United States. The Turkish economy then went into freefall. The currency immediately lost 8% of its value, and the Turkish stock market suffered as well. This was a real blow to the Turkish economy, but I think there's a problem with the way that this has been reported, and I think it's playing into Erdogan's hands. To be sure, around paragraph 3 or 4, all of these news stories do point to the massive underlying problems of the Turkish economy, but that's not what the headlines say, and that's not what Erdogan's saying either. Trump's actions may have tipped the Turkish economy over, but as I laid out in a video just last June, Turkey's economy has been on life support for a very, very long time now. Buoyed up by foreign investors and the ballooning debt of its own people, Turkey's zombie economy has managed to limp on for like 5 years now, but that's all now ending. Trump's tweet did bring about an 8% fall in the price of the lira, but it had already fallen 38% this year before August 10th. And Trump's tweet diplomacy really isn't even the worst thing that's been done to Turkey's economy since my last video in June. It varies from country to country, but the second most important person in most countries' governments is the official in charge of the economy. In well-run countries, this is usually the head of an independent central bank, like Jerome H. Powell, the head of the U.S. Federal Reserve. Turkey doesn't really have one of those anymore. I mean, there's an independent central bank on paper, but it's not really independent. Under Turkey's new constitution, an all-powerful Minister of Finance and Treasury has been created. And on July 9th, Erdogan appointed his son-in-law, Berat Albayrak, to the position. This is a disaster. The appointment instantly prompted comparisons to Jared Kushner, Donald Trump's constantly failing son-in-law. Now, it's deeply embarrassing that Kushner has any role in government at all, but it's important to note that he doesn't really do much and he doesn't have much real power. This al-Bayrak thing is far, far worse. It would be like Trump appointing Kushner as the head of the Treasury Department and the chair of the Federal Reserve. It's worth noting that so far, al-Bayrak has not been a complete disaster. He seems to have a better sense of what's necessary than Erdogan does, and in recent weeks he has managed to somewhat stabilize the economy. Also, we are all hoping that he'll be better able to stand up to his father-in-law than anybody else has been. But that's a really sad thing to be hoping for. A country's government and economy should not be run by a single extended family. This is not democracy. This isn't even a well-run dictatorship. This is monarchy. Things are going to get a lot worse for Turkey before they get better. And that's the fault of the Turkish government, not Donald Trump. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. And if you'd like a free essay on a completely different topic, I suggest you sign up for my email list here. Thanks.